Hey friends, let's talk Beetlejuice. I wanted to give you my thoughts on Beetlejuice. I got out of the theater, had some immediate thoughts, wanted to process it a little bit, and I also watched the first Beetlejuice movie. There's a lot of good, bad, and ugly that goes along with this, but I'll give this one a short one. I will say that this movie has me rethinking as to whether or not Tim Burton is in fact a good director. There are parts of this movie that are terribly directed, and the decision-making process about a lot of this just makes no sense. If you recall, back in maybe the 90s, there was a Beetlejuice TV show where it was a cartoon, and I don't remember the plot of any of it. But imagine that is the plot of Beetlejuice, is that there are... So Beetlejuice has like 4 plots going through it, and each of the plots is not a complete plot. It's like, remember the time when the Deetzes accidentally died? Wasn't that funny? Remember the time when Beetlejuice's ex-wife comes back to get him? Remember the time when Beetlejuice started his own company? Do you remember that? Do you remember the time when Lydia's mom, Lydia decides to accidentally get married to a guy she doesn't like? Jenna Ortega is fine, a little underused. Doesn't really have a good handle on her character, I think. Winona Ryder, I thought, was pretty terrible in this. I was kind of shocked. Michael Keaton, amazing as always, does a great job. Doesn't feel like the same Beetlejuice though, but I don't blame him for that. I blame Tim Burton, because Tim Burton was attempting to recreate some of the stuff from the original. I don't know what was going on there, but it's a barely coherent movie that explores a lot of the lore of the underworld, but doesn't really add anything. The one thing I wanted to point out, and this is the ugly, this is one of the worst, if not most racist jokes I've seen in a really long time. I can't believe it got put in the movie, and it got put in the movie twice. There's a joke about trains, that a train that takes your soul to transition. And apparently you have to take the Soul Train. And the Soul Train is full of black people with, like they're back in the 70s. You know, they all have afros and they all dance every single time. They don't explain anything. It's just a bunch of black people dancing. And it's the Soul Train. Unforgivable. A, how unfunny it is. And B, just what is going on here. I don't know. This is where, like I said, I will do a video about Tim Burton, because at this point he's put out enough movies where I think he's put out more bad than good. This movie, it is very funny. Michael Keaton's hilarious. There's a lot of good visual jokes, ton of visual jokes, but it doesn't make up for it being a bad movie overall. I give it a 6 out of 10. Did not really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I mean, I didn't have high hopes for it, because the original Beetlejuice is such a strange movie. Beetlejuice is only in it for about 15 minutes, and you don't get a lot of interactions with Beetlejuice. You only get a handful of them, and a lot of them aren't even with people. They're just him reacting to different things. So it's a strange movie. It's very isolated. It's very much a family-based movie where you're just focused on the family. They brought back a ton of characters, but for no reason. Like what they did to Jeffrey Jones, and I know he has his problems, they brought him back in such a disgraceful way. It was embarrassing. I kept saying, like, what is going on here? Like, what the F are they doing here? It was just embarrassing. The way that it's as bad as if they had used AI on him, where they used his likeness, they used his character, they tried to impersonate his voice, they even did animated sketches of him, and it was not good. And then I thought about the music choices were poor compared to Beetlejuice. I really liked the idea of what they did with Beetlejuice. When in the original they did that, you know, they do the banana song. I think it's a Harry Belafonte song. I could be wrong about that, but those songs are really, they kind of fit this weird, quirky mood, where the songs that they picked in this just didn't seem to fit It's supposed to be a Danny Elfman score. I could barely recognize. It was in there at points, but it wasn't as prominent inside of it. And it's just overstuffed. You could have cut Willem Dafoe, and it wouldn't have mattered. Was it Carla Giuliano? I think they could have cut her part. It would have been irrelevant. They also brought in Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito, it must have been here's where I'm going to point out that if you watch it, Tim Burton's a bad director, because he just said to the people, just do something, and it'll be funny, right? There's a part where Winona Ryder is making this weird breathing noise that is one of the most obnoxious sounds I've ever heard on film, and he must have been like, just make a weird noise, it'll be funny. So he's like, calls up Danny DeVito and goes, hey Danny, can you remember when we did Batman together, Batman Returns, and you were the Penguin and you were really gross and you just had spit stuff out of your mouth? I need you to come in and you're going to do that for me again. Can you do that, Danny? And Danny DeVito's like, you going to pay me? So yes, that's exactly what happened, and I can't fathom why. So for me, it's a 6 out of 10. If you're a huge Beetlejuice fan, you will get a kick out of it. You will like some of the parts in it. You'll find I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a couple things that steal the show that I will always remember, that I think are hilarious, that I love the idea of. But I think they might have been stolen from the animated series. I cannot remember because I have not watched it in a very long time. But this felt like they stole from the animated series, which I mean is fine, but. You know, there are no post-credit scenes or anything like that. They said there's no hope. They're not really planning on doing a sequel. Made a lot of money. I wish I liked this movie more than I did. Very funny at parts. Absolutely ridiculous plot. Oh, and Justin Theroux. I don't get that guy at all. I don't think he's a good actor. I've never seen him in anything that I can recall that he was good in. He was atrocious in this. Absolutely terrible. Cannot stress that enough. What a poor performance from that guy. And I know you're not supposed to like him, but I was like, get this guy off screen. I don't want to see him anymore. So watch it once, never watch it again. You can get away with it. I would wait for streaming. Not necessarily worth paying for unless you're going to get super awesome popcorn bucket. I don't know if you guys see it. Look, that's the Batman one. I got the Batman one. Very cool. Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's great. Loved him. Anyway, thanks so much for checking it out, and I guess I'm on to the next one.
Thanks for catching the video. Be sure to join our channel to get the education you deserve. Make sure you check out our shorts, live streams, and catch us on all the socials.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.